Hello, my name is Jacob Harris, and I'm a humble farmer from Wyoming. What I'm about to share might sound unimaginable, but I promise it's the truth as I lived it. Last winter, I had a near-death experience that completely changed my perspective on life, death, and what lies ahead. It wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was a profound journey that revealed spiritual truths about the future and a message for 2025. What I saw wasn't meant only for me. It's something we all need to hear. Let me take you through this extraordinary encounter. It began on an icy morning. I woke up before sunrise to check on my cattle, as I always do. The frost clung to the ground, and the air was sharp and damp. I had been feeling unwell for some time, but work doesn't stop just because you're under the weather. That day, as I bent down to repair a broken section of the fence, I was hit with a crushing pain in my chest. My vision dimmed, and I collapsed, unable to move or call for help. Darkness engulfed me, and I thought my time had come. But then something remarkable happened. I wasn't cold anymore, and I wasn't lying on the frozen ground. I was standing, though not in my body. It was as if I had stepped out of myself, leaving my pain and earthly troubles behind. I looked down and saw my physical form motionless in the snow, surrounded by my cattle. Strangely, I didn't feel fear or sorrow, only an incredible sense of peace, like being wrapped in warmth and serenity. That's when I noticed it, a light glowing in the distance. It wasn't like sunlight or the flicker of a lantern. This light was alive, radiating love and warmth that seemed to draw me in. I couldn't resist it, and truthfully, I didn't want to. As I moved closer, the world around me faded, replaced by a golden expanse so vast it felt timeless. Crossing into this realm was like stepping into perfection itself. As I stood there, I began to hear whispers, not spoken words, but truths communicated directly to my soul. They were about love, forgiveness, and hope. It felt as though the deepest questions of my life were being answered without me even asking. I had no idea what lay beyond the light, but I knew it was something extraordinary. Then, out of the golden brilliance, a figure appeared. He wasn't like any depiction I had ever seen in a church or painting. His presence was overwhelming yet deeply comforting, majestic yet profoundly humble. I knew it was Jesus, not because of how he looked, but because of the boundless love radiating from him. It was a love so pure, so powerful, that it brought me to my knees, not out of fear, but awe and reverence. He spoke my name, Jacob. His voice wasn't loud, but it resonated through me like a song that I could feel in every fiber of my being. It wasn't just sound, it was understanding, connection. He extended his hand, and as I took it, waves of emotion washed over me. I felt the weight of my mistakes and regrets, but instead of condemnation, I was met with forgiveness. Your time here isn't done, Jesus said. But before you return, I have things to show you. What you see isn't meant to frighten you, but to prepare you. Share it with others, they need to know what's ahead. He led me deeper into the light. The first vision he showed me was of America. But it wasn't the country I had known all my life. The land, the mountains, rivers, and fields looked unchanged, yet there was a heaviness over the people. Cities were filled with strangers who seemed disconnected, walking past each other as though invisible. Fear hung in the air, a quiet but ever-present tension, as though everyone was waiting for something inevitable. Jesus revealed to me the deep fractures within the nation, not physical cracks, but spiritual ones. Families were divided, communities were splintered, and trust was unraveling. It felt as though the very soul of the nation was under attack. Yet, in the midst of this darkness, there were small beacons of hope. I saw groups of people joining hands, praying together, and holding fast to love, faith, and hope. These were the ones who refused to let the light within them fade. Jesus explained that 2025 would be a turning point, a year of reckoning. People would face the consequences of their choices, and while the path ahead wouldn't be easy, it would be necessary. Jacob, he said, tell them not to be afraid. Let them know their faith will be the anchor that keeps them steady through the storm. He then showed me the devastating effects of division. A house divided cannot stand, he told me. I saw vivid images of people quarreling over politics, religion, and even trivial matters. These weren't simple disagreements. They were divisions rooted in people's hearts. Instead of seeing each other as brothers and sisters, they saw enemies. Jesus explained that this division was a tactic of the enemy, designed to keep people from uniting in love and faith. But he also revealed the power of unity. In one vision, I saw a small town struck by disaster. Despite their differences, people came together to help one another. They cared not about their backgrounds, only about supporting those in need. This unity created a radiant light that pushed back the surrounding darkness. Jacob, Jesus said, tell them to choose love over hatred, unity over division. Together, they can endure what lies ahead. Next, he showed me the earth itself crying out in pain. Hurricanes, earthquakes, and wildfires tore through the land. These weren't random events, but signs of a world out of balance. I saw cities underwater, forests ablaze, and people fleeing in fear. Though the sight was harrowing, Jesus stood beside me, calm and resolute. These are not punishments, he said. They are warnings, wake-up calls to humanity. He explained that the natural world reflects the state of our collective spirit. When humanity is in disarray, so too is the earth. Yet he also showed me hope. In one image, I saw people working together to heal the planet, planting trees, cleaning rivers, and restoring the land. Their actions revived barren landscapes, bringing life and beauty back to desolate places. Jacob, Jesus said, tell them to care for the earth as I care for them. It is a gift, and its healing is intertwined with their own. The final vision Jesus shared was of the economy, but it wasn't just about wealth, it was about values. I saw bustling cities, towering skyscrapers, and financial markets buzzing with activity. Then, cracks began to form in the buildings, symbolic of deeper instability. Panic spread as people watched their fortunes evaporate and the systems they relied on collapse. This wasn't a sudden disaster, but a gradual unraveling, like water slowly breaking through a dam. Families struggled to survive, and businesses shuttered their doors. But amidst the chaos, Jesus showed me something beautiful: renewal. I saw new systems rising, built not on greed but on fairness and compassion. People began bartering, communities shared resources, and neighbors helped one another without expectation of reward. The old ways will fall, he said, because they were built on sand. What comes next must be built on a solid foundation: truth, love, and justice. Jesus explained that the economic challenges of 2025 would force humanity to confront its values. Would we cling to broken systems, or would we choose a future founded on kindness, integrity, and shared purpose? Jesus said to me, Jacob, tell them that true abundance comes not from hoarding, but from sharing. As we moved through the light, he revealed another vision. I saw people glowing not with a physical light, but a spiritual one. These individuals had awakened to a greater purpose. They weren't wealthy or famous. They were everyday people with extraordinary faith. I saw them everywhere: teachers, farmers, doctors, students, all shining as beacons in the darkness. These chosen ones weren't without flaws. They had their own struggles. But what set them apart was their profound connection to God. They prayed deeply, lived intentionally, and inspired others to seek the same peace and clarity. Jesus explained their vital role in 2025. Jacob, they will guide others through the storm. Their faith will be an anchor for many. He showed me gatherings where people shared their spiritual awakenings and supported each other's growth. These meetings didn't just take place in churches, but also in homes, parks, and online spaces. Jacob, he said, every soul can be chosen if they open their hearts. Then Jesus showed me a vision I hadn't anticipated. The world was increasingly dominated by technology. Machines were performing tasks once done by humans, robots were assisting the disabled, and screens were everywhere. At first, it looked like an incredible leap forward. People were more connected, and life seemed easier. But then he revealed the darker side. I saw people becoming enslaved to their devices, losing connection with reality and with one another. There were debates over ethics. Should machines replace humans? Could artificial intelligence make decisions about life and death? Jacob, Jesus said, technology is a gift, but it can also be a trap. Tell them to use it wisely, for good, not harm. He then showed me examples of technology being used for positive change. Robots aiding the disabled, apps teaching kindness, and online communities fostering genuine connections. The future depends on how they choose to wield these tools, he said. As a farmer, I've always believed in planting seeds for the future. Jesus revealed to me that in 2025, the youth would be those seeds. I saw classrooms and playgrounds filled with children and young adults brimming with energy and creativity. They weren't weighed down by the fears of older generations. They viewed challenges as opportunities. But there was also a warning. Jesus showed me how young people were being influenced, both positively and negatively, by their environment. Social media, peer pressure, and lack of guidance were leading some astray. Yet he also showed me young leaders rising, speaking truth, and inspiring change. Jacob, he said, the youth are the hope of tomorrow. Guide them, nurture them, and believe in their potential. I saw communities creating mentorship programs, teaching values like compassion, responsibility, and resilience. The strength of a nation lies in its children, Jesus said. Teach them well, for their hands will shape the future. The next vision was of the earth itself. Jesus showed me the scars inflicted on creation. Forests stripped bare, oceans polluted, and skies darkened with smog. The destruction was heartbreaking, yet he also revealed the earth's resilience. I saw rivers running clear, trees flourishing where there had been wastelands, and animals returning to their habitats. This healing didn't happen by chance. It was the result of deliberate human effort. Farmers adopted sustainable methods, cities implemented green technologies, and individuals made small but impactful changes. Jacob, Jesus said, the earth is a gift, and they must cherish it. Healing the planet begins with healing their hearts. He showed me how simple acts, planting a tree, cleaning a beach, or reducing waste, created ripple effects that reached far beyond the physical. When they heal the earth, he added, they heal themselves. As we moved forward, Jesus showed me a troubling vision. I saw leaders standing on platforms, speaking confidently to large crowds. At first, they seemed like spiritual guides, but Jesus placed his hand on my shoulder and said, look closer, Jacob. Upon closer inspection, I saw deception. These leaders weren't spreading truth. They were sowing confusion. Their words were laced with half-truths and manipulations meant to control, not inspire. The desperate crowds followed blindly, unaware they were being misled. Jacob, Jesus said, false prophets will rise. They will wear the mask of faith but work against it. Tell them to discern truth through actions, not words. True servants of my name will serve others, not themselves. He showed me how to recognize these false leaders by their humility, compassion, and truth or lack thereof. In another vision, I saw individuals standing firm against this deception. They prayed for clarity, sought wisdom, and turned to Scripture for guidance. Faith is the armor they need, Jacob, Jesus said. With it, they will see through the lies. He urged people to trust their own discernment and strengthen their personal connection to God. Jacob, share this with them, he said. The truth will always shine brighter than falsehood. Finally, Jesus showed me scenes of hardship. I saw families losing homes to floods, communities grappling with illness, and entire towns struggling with scarcity. But amidst this suffering, something beautiful emerged: compassion. Neighbors helped one another, strangers opened their homes, and communities united in ways they never had before. One image stood out to me: a woman who had lost everything in a storm, yet found hope and strength through the kindness of those around her. Jacob, Jesus said, compassion is the light that will carry them through the darkest times. Tell them to hold on to love, faith, and unity, for these will guide them through whatever lies ahead. She was embraced by her neighbors, who shared their food, built her a temporary shelter, and stayed by her side until she regained her footing. Jesus said, Jacob, this is the power of compassion. It is what holds humanity together. He explained that the trials of 2025 would challenge people's ability to care for one another. Tell them, Jacob, that resilience isn't found in isolation but in unity. Jesus showed me simple acts of kindness: a man repairing a stranger's fence, a child offering their last piece of bread. These small gestures created ripples of hope, spreading far beyond their origin. He emphasized the importance of fostering community, saying, when they work together, they create light even in the darkest times. Tell them to lift one another up, for no one can weather life's storms alone. He also cautioned against selfishness, warning, those who turn inward, hoarding for themselves, will find only emptiness, but those who give freely will never go without. In the next vision, Jesus showed me a room filled with radiant light. At the center were people kneeling in prayer, their hands clasped and their eyes closed. The atmosphere was so peaceful, it seemed to hum with divine energy. Jesus turned to me and said, Jacob, this is where true strength lies. He explained that prayer and meditation are more than rituals. They are lifelines connecting people to God. Tell them, Jacob, that through prayer, they open their hearts to my guidance. In meditation, they quiet the world and hear my voice. He showed me individuals who had lost everything yet found solace and purpose through these practices. Their circumstances hadn't changed, but their spirits were transformed. They were calm, hopeful, and resilient. Jesus also revealed the transformative power of collective prayer. I saw groups gathering in parks, homes, and online spaces, lifting their voices in unison. With each prayer, the light around them grew brighter, pushing back the surrounding darkness. When they pray together, Jesus said, they amplify their strength. Tell them that prayer is not just for asking but for listening, for aligning their will with mine. He also encouraged meditation, saying, in stillness, they will find clarity. The noise of the world drowns out my whispers, but in silence, they will hear me. Jesus urged people to establish daily habits of prayer and meditation, even if only for a few minutes. Jacob, tell them this is how they prepare their souls for what lies ahead. In the following vision, Jesus showed me subtle yet profound signs woven into daily life. A grieving woman, praying for reassurance about her late husband, found a white feather on her windowsill. A man struggling with doubt saw a rainbow during a storm, reminding him of God's promises. "Jacob," Jesus said, "I am always speaking to them, but many fail to listen. These signs are my way of reaching their hearts." He showed me repeating numbers, 111, 444, 777, and everyday objects like coins and birds acting as messengers. "Tell them to pay attention, Jacob. These are not coincidences but conversations." Jesus explained that as more people seek spiritual connection, such synchronicities will increase in 2025. "The veil between worlds is thin, Jacob. They must trust their intuition, for it is through their hearts that I speak." He encouraged people to keep journals to record the signs they receive and reflect on their meanings. "When they acknowledge my signs, they strengthen their faith," he said. In the final vision of this series, Jesus showed me a man weighed down by guilt. He carried a heavy sack on his back, filled with stones representing every mistake he had ever made. His shoulders were bent, and his steps were labored. Jesus approached him, placed a gentle hand on the sack, and it disappeared. The man straightened, his face filled with relief and newfound strength. "Jacob," Jesus said, "forgiveness is the greatest gift they can give to themselves and others. Tell them to let go of the past, for it is a burden that weighs them down." He showed me scenes of reconciliation, parents embracing estranged children, friends apologizing after years of silence, and individuals finally forgiving themselves. "Forgiveness is not forgetting," Jesus explained, "but releasing. It is not weakness but strength. Forgiveness heals not just relationships but also the soul. When they forgive, they open their hearts to love and peace." Jesus urged me to share this message, saying, "Jacob, tell them that forgiveness is the key to freedom. While they cannot change the past, through forgiveness they can transform their future." As I watched the vision, I felt my own burdens lift, understanding that forgiveness is a gift we all possess the power to give. Jesus then showed me a vision of the United States, not as the divided and struggling nation I had seen earlier, but as a radiant example of humanity's potential. He said, "Jacob, this country was built on principles of freedom, hope, and faith. It has the capacity to be a light for the world." In the vision, I saw Americans coming together, united by shared values rather than divided by differences. Communities worked side by side to rebuild what had been lost, and faith leaders of all denominations joined hands in prayer, leading with humility and love. This unity inspired other nations, creating a ripple effect of compassion and cooperation across the globe. However, Jesus also warned of challenges ahead. "Jacob," he said, "the United States is at a crossroads. It can lead with compassion and faith or falter into fear and greed." He explained that the nation's leaders, both spiritual and political, would play a crucial role in determining its direction. "Tell them to choose leaders who embody my teachings, not their own ambitions." Jesus emphasized that true strength lies not only in leadership but in the actions of the people. "The strength of a nation comes from its people," he said. "Tell them to pray for their country, act with integrity, and lift one another up." He showed me that the United States could fulfill its destiny as a beacon of hope, but only if its people embraced faith, unity, and love. In another vision, I saw a storm, a powerful, relentless force tearing through everything in its path. People were terrified, running for shelter and holding on to their loved ones. Yet, amidst the chaos, others stood firm. Though battered by the storm, they were not overcome. These individuals held hands, prayed, and faced the winds together. Jesus said, "Jacob, fear is the enemy's greatest weapon, but faith is the strongest shield. Tell them not to fear the changes coming in 2025, for these changes are necessary for growth." He explained that fear paralyzes, but faith empowers. When they trust in me, they will find the strength to endure and the courage to act. I saw examples of faith triumphing over fear, families rebuilding after disasters, communities sharing resources, and individuals finding peace through prayer. The storms of life are not meant to destroy, Jesus said, but to refine. Through faith, they will find hope even in the darkest moments. Jesus also emphasized the importance of supporting one another. Faith is not a solitary journey, he said. Tell them to lean on each other, for where two or more are gathered in my name, I am there. As the visions began to fade, Jesus turned to me and said, Jacob, your time here is not finished. You must return and share what you have seen. I felt a pang of sorrow, reluctant to leave the warmth and peace of his presence, but his words filled me with purpose. In the vision, I saw myself waking up on the cold ground where I had fallen. The pain of my heart attack was gone, replaced by a comforting warmth. My wife, Mary, stood over me, tears streaming down her face as she called for help. I knew in that moment I had been given a second chance, not just to live, but to live with purpose. Jesus said, Jacob, your story will inspire others. Share it boldly and without fear. He showed me people listening to my testimony, their faces lighting up with hope. Some were skeptical, others hesitant, but many were moved to seek their own connection with God. The truth will resonate in their hearts, he said. Tell them what you have seen and trust that I will guide them. In the final vision, Jesus showed me people from all walks of life, farmers, teachers, workers, and leaders, coming together to prepare for the challenges of 2025. They weren't just talking, they were acting. They planted gardens, built shelters, and prayed together. It was a powerful image of unity and hope. Jacob, Jesus said, tell them to prepare not out of fear, but out of faith. Preparation is an act of trust, a way of saying, we believe in a better tomorrow. He showed me practical steps people could take, saving resources, learning new skills, and building strong communities. But he also emphasized the importance of spiritual preparation. Tell them to strengthen their faith, pray daily, and seek my guidance in all they do. He warned against complacency, saying, the challenges will be great, but so will the rewards. Those who prepare will not only survive but thrive. Jesus urged people to focus on what truly matters: love, faith, and community, rather than material possessions. The treasures of the world will fade, he said, but the treasures of the Spirit will last forever. In the final moments of my journey, Jesus showed me a vision of the world as it could be. It wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful. People were kinder, more connected, and more in tune with the divine. Families worked together to rebuild their homes, children laughed freely, and communities flourished. The earth, once scarred, was healing. Its rivers ran clear, and its forests grew lush once again.